Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Ty, and here's what 94 days of the YouTube Analytics Studio and monetization tracking looks like from a brand new creator. So, for those of you who are new and haven't seen, this is a weekly series that I've been doing since I've started about 3 months ago, looking at the YouTube Studio and looking at all the analytics, and then also tracking my journey towards monetization. So, getting those 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch time hours. So let's just jump in. Here's the channel dashboard in my YouTube studio. And for those of you who are new and you haven't really started yet and you don't know what all of this is really just YouTube's way of showing you everything that's going on with your channel in terms of the performance of your videos, your subscribers, your viewership, all of that stuff. So when you sign in, this is the default landing page you get to. It shows you at a glance how many subscribers you have. Right now, I'm at 660, and then it'll give you some more information on your most recent videos and different comments that people are leaving on your channel, community posts, things like that. Now, what I like to do whenever I'm coming in here to analyze my channel, the first thing I'll click on is the content tab right over here on the left. And this will give me a very simple and clean snapshot, really, of all the videos on the channel. And it'll also show me the number of views and comments and likes that each one has. So if I want to do a really quick and clean comparison between my videos, I can simply just scroll down and see which ones are doing well and which ones are not doing well. So I love this view. I think it's really helpful in knowing, the number of comments, likes, views, all of that fun stuff. Now, if you want to get a little more deep into the weeds, which I like to do, I come into the analytics section here, and by default, it's going to show you your whole channel snapshot over the last 28 days. Now, you can, of course, change that date range if you want to look at a smaller snapshot, maybe over a week, or if you want to look at things over the lifetime of your channel, you can do that as well. So, what this is going to show you is the total number of views that you have for your channel. Right now, I'm at 13,700. And the total number of watch time hours, which is again important if you want to reach monetization, that's 740 currently for me. And the total number of subscribers is 630 as of yesterday. So that's the main view here on the overview. You can scroll down and it'll show you some of your top content over the last period. But from here, I like to go into the content itself on the top left. And this is where you can get a little bit more information on some of the other metrics that weren't visible before. Now, impressions. This is another metric that you may want to keep an eye on as a new creator because it's helpful to know the number of times that YouTube is pushing out your videos for other people to potentially click on. So every time your video is served to somebody, that's called an impression. And an impression can be found whether your video is served to somebody on their YouTube home screen. So when they log in and they get all those videos shown to them, if your video shows up there, that's an impression on the home screen. Alternatively, imagine you're making content that is highly searchable. So, how to unclog your drain, for example. Someone goes to YouTube, they type in how to unclog my drain. Your video pops up in a series of other videos. They click on yours. That's, of course, an impression that your video showed up for them. But that will classify as YouTube search in how that user found your video. All that to say, these are all different types of impressions that can be had for any particular video. It just depends on the style of content that you're making, but understanding if your videos are getting impressions or not is important. And the way to improve to get more and more impressions is, of course, to make higher quality videos. So there's a lot that goes into it. I'll try and dive into a little bit here in a minute. But let's move over to impressions click through rate. This is really the percentage of time people are clicking on your video after being presented with an impression. So for my whole channel, I'm at around 3.3%, which isn't very good, if I'm being honest. I think a good click through is probably closer to 6%. If you can get between, I would say 5 to 7%, you're probably in good shape. But some people will have videos that are 10, 15%, which is awesome. I've yet to see that on my channel, but hey, we're still really new and it's a work in progress. So we'll work towards that. And then finally over here on the right, average view duration. This is the number of minutes and seconds that people are staying and watching your videos for. So this is good to know, but it can be skewed if you make 10-minute long videos and then 30-minute long videos. You're not always comparing apples to apples. So that's why I like the average percentage viewed, which I'll show you here in a second. Now, as you scroll down, this is going to help you understand a little bit more about your audience retention on your videos. So it's going to show you your top 5 videos that have better than normal retention. And retention for this purpose is measured in the percentage of viewers that are sticking around on your video at around 30 seconds, because I think there's a higher likelihood that people will stay and watch your video for longer if they make it past 30 seconds on your video. So this will show you above average and this will show you below average, and then the percentage as well. Now, if you click on any of these videos, you can see the retention graph will change, right? You'll notice there's these small changes. And there's going to be a variety of reasons why you might see peaks and valleys. Some people might be rewinding to rewatch a certain section. Some people might be fast forwarding to get to a certain section, especially if you have chapters in your video description that helps people understand where some of the content is within your video. So if you want, you can click on all of this stuff. It's going to fast forward to that section in the video so you can watch it and see why someone might be staying for longer or might be actually leaving the video. Now, as you get down here at the bottom, this section here for how your viewers are finding your videos. This goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Browse features, which is primarily the home screen, and then there's YouTube search, and then there's suggested, there's playlists, there's external, there's a wide variety of ways that someone might click on one of your videos. All of that is going to be represented down here so that you know the mix or the percentage breakdown of how people are finding your content. Now, as a new YouTuber, I don't have all of the data in the studio even after 3 months. So there's still some things that are missing for me, specifically percentage of the number of newer viewers, the number of returning viewers, things like that. And then as you scroll down further here, you can see this sort of funnel that really gives you a visual representation of how your impressions lead to views from your click through and how those views add up into your watch time as well. So there's some really good stuff in here. The last thing I'll show you is the audience tab, which again is supposed to show you your returning viewers versus your unique viewers, which is supposed to show you your returning viewers versus your new viewers. The data, the numeric data is missing, but if you look at the bar graph, but if you look at the line chart here, you can see by day the number of returning viewers versus newer viewers. And you really want to have a good balance of both, right? Because ideally, you want to make content that someone watches and they like it, and then they want to watch more of your content. And then on top of that, you still want to be able to bring in newer viewers to your channel so that your channel's growing in terms of subscribers. So it's good to have a healthy balance between both of those. And then as you scroll down a little bit further, this I didn't have access to for the longest time. It took me probably 2 months before I could start to see when my viewers are most active on YouTube. But now that I have this, this is really helpful information to know the time of day that you could be posting your videos. I do hear a variety of opinions on this where it doesn't necessarily matter when you post, because at the end of the day, the algorithm's going to look for the audience for you. And even if it takes till the next morning or the next midday to find that audience, it'll still make those recommendations. So I'm not entirely sold on the fact that there are a best time of day to post, even though I do try to line up my posting to opt to follow these brightly purpled bars. And then down here at the bottom, you can see some of your demographic information. So you can see where your viewers are watching from, which countries. You can see the percentage of subscribers versus non subscribers, the age, gender, and the language of your viewership. So this is all helpful to know, specifically if you're like me and maybe you're targeting people of a specific age range. So I'm in my mid 40s, as most of you know, and I'm really trying to speak to people who are also midlifers, Gen Xers, elder millennials, like we like to call them, and people who are older that are, at a point in their lives where they maybe want to do something a little bit different. Maybe they want to start a YouTube channel. I'm specifically trying to reach those folks because I feel like my message might resonate with them. And this data down here will help me understand if the people watching my content actually fall within that age range. And as you can see, the majority of my viewership is between 25 and 44. So I might be capturing those elder millennials, but maybe not as many Gen Xers. Those folks might be in the 44 to 54 range. So kind of like right in here. But all that to say, this is a really good way of knowing who's viewing your content. Now, there's a whole heck of a lot more in here you can dive into. There is some really good, clean, um, now, there's a whole heck of a lot more you can get into in the YouTube studio, but I might save that for another video if you guys are interested in. The next thing I want to show you is how I track towards my monetization goals. So let me show you the Google Sheet that we have built that helps in that effort. And really what this is, it is like a week by week tracker of some of the different metrics we just talked about. And I'm 13 weeks on YouTube, right? Just over 3 months. And I've been tracking how I've been doing every single week since I started, starting from week 1 all the way down to week 13. And what I've been tracking specifically is the number of views that I'm getting per week. And as you can see, last week I had 757 views, the week before 920, the week before almost 2,500. So, all that to say, there's a lot of ebb and flow, a lot of high highs and low lows that come with YouTube, as we've talked about in previous videos. This is just par for the course. So, if you haven't started yet and you're like, kind of anticipating how your channel might grow, it's really next to impossible to anticipate. You just have to keep plugging away, and eventually you'll see things trickle upwards, but it's you never really know what you're going to get. And then same thing with watch time hours. I'm tracking that by week as well. You can see some of the forward progress here, and then I had a nice little spike 2 weeks ago, and then it kind of came down again. Average percentage viewed, which we talked briefly about, but this is essentially the percentage of your total video length that people are watching for. And so my worst week was week 2, only about less than 20% of my video was being watched. Whereas the last 2 weeks, it's been closer to 32%, which is much better. So this is a good news story here. I think if you can get closer to 40, 50%, that means your content's really good and people are sticking around, which is awesome. Now, click through rate we did talk about already. This just shows you that snapshot as well by week. Some weeks not so good, some weeks considerably better. And then, of course, subscribers gained by week as well. I had my best week 2 weeks ago at 120 ish. And then the last few weeks, right around 34 and 20, respectively. And then you can see the corresponding number of impressions that I had in those weeks. So, again, impressions lead to potential views, views lead to watch time, and also potential new subscribers. So, I posted 2 videos last week. This has been my target, by the way. I've been trying to post 2 videos as consistently as possible. I've been doing Mondays and Fridays for the longest time. I've just recently found that I was spending way too much time editing and missing my deadline. So I started doing Tuesday and Saturday the last week, but I'm trying to get back on track with Mondays and Fridays. So we'll see how that goes out. Now, I also built here a progress bar at the very top because everyone loves a good progress bar that tracks your progression, specifically towards my 1,000 subscriber target. As you can see, I'm just approaching the midway point. I'm at 43.6% as of the end of last week. And then for my 4,000 watch time hour target, I have a progress bar here as well. I'm at 12.3%. And then what I've done is I've said, okay, well, at my current trend, like my current run rate, for how my videos have historically performed, how many more weeks do I need to be creating content to hit those targets? So for to hit my 1,000 subscribers as of the end of last week, I needed 17 more weeks of posting to get there, and I needed 93 more weeks of posting to get to my 4,000 watch time hours. And if you remember, to get monetized, you need 4,000 watch time hours, but you need to do it in a 365-day period. And 93 weeks is almost 2 full years. So this is not sustainable, and that's okay. We've talked about the challenge, right? The uphill battle that YouTube is, and that's what makes it fun and enjoyable. So my mission for the next 9 months, if I can do math correctly, is to be so good and so effective that I get my watch time hours. So you guys be the judge of that. Let me know, help me out, tell me how I'm doing. Um, Down here, again, more nerdy stuff. This is just a visual line graph representation of what I just talked about. So it just tracks my week over week progress towards my subscriber goal, and then my week over week progress towards my watch time hour goal. And then down here is the number of weeks and the number of videos to get my subscribers and also get my watch time hours. So for this one right here, I really want these two to be tracking up and to the right. And these ones I want to be tracking down because I want to shorten the number of weeks and the number of videos to get to my goal. But all in, I keep saying this in all of my videos. Even though this seems like a very big and insurmountable task, it's still very doable. I'm not deterred, I'm determined. And I hope you are too as you see this. I hope what you take away from this is that number one, you don't need to track your stuff like I do to be successful. There's a lot of other people who don't do this. I mean, the vast majority of people don't do this and they still find their success on YouTube. This is just fun for me. This is like the joy in YouTube for me. Um, but you can do this. It takes time and effort and energy and a little bit of creativity and, finding your voice and trying to provide as much value as you can and doing it in a way that's genuine and authentic. And hopefully people vibe with that and resonate with that. And I know there's a lot of people who I've been hearing from recently who they just don't think they have any value or they don't think they can communicate well on camera or they don't like how they present themselves on camera. And if I'm being completely frank, like my first few, I don't know, maybe my first 10 videos or so, I didn't feel like myself. It felt a little forced. It felt a little bit even like robotic. It didn't feel right. And I think you just got to work through all that crap because it's repetition, it's like proximity to the exercise, it's just, pushing through the weirdness and the discomfort, and eventually, you do it enough, you gain some familiarity with this setup, like, I've been doing exactly what I'm doing every single week for the last couple of months, so this whole setup here is very familiar to me now, talking to the camera, I got the mic in front of me, I got the laptop over here, it's all very familiar, so just keep doing it over and over and over again, it becomes very familiar, very comfortable, and then as you gain more experience, you gain some depth and some wisdom behind what you're talking about. And that's why now I'm at a point where when I talk about the studio and when I talk about this monetization tracker, it's almost like second nature for me. And I don't feel any hesitation. I don't feel any reluctance. I don't feel any shyness. I feel like it's more myself communicating. And that's where you really want to get to. You want to get to a point that you're so comfortable with the content that it just comes out naturally and organically. And at first, especially if you're new to the topic that you're talking about on YouTube or you researched a topic for a while but you haven't really talked much about it, you're not going to have like a really fluid talk track and that's okay. You have to practice. It has to be there's got to be some repetition there. And so that's why I keep harping back on this idea of a community because if you have people that you can talk to about this stuff in real life in just casual conversation, then when it comes time to filming and talking about it, you're that much more dialed in and you're that much more competent and your articulation is much more fluid and coherent. So that's what I would recommend is like find somebody you can practice with or even just practice with your camera. The video I posted the other day of me riffing on the roof, that was not my very first attempt at that. That was my 3rd video. The first 2 I had done the day before, they were like 20 minutes each, and I just wasn't super happy with them. So I said, "Screw it, I'm just gonna try it again," and that's what came out. What you're watching right now, this is my 2nd attempt at this. So, sometimes it just takes a little bit of practice, and yeah, it's frustrating that you gotta put all this time in, but that's the name of the game on YouTube is practice and showing up. So, that's my soapbox for today. Hopefully, you found some value in this tracker and in the YouTube studio. I know there's a lot to digest here, there's a lot to unpack, but I will try my best to do more of these every single week to give you guys more of a peek behind the curtain, to be super transparent with what's working and what's not. And then, if and when I get to a point where I'm making money on YouTube, I will certainly show you what that looks like. I will just close out by telling you really quickly here I did earn a little bit more Amazon affiliate income over the last few days. So I'm now at a total of $20.57 of money that I've made from YouTube. And So far, that's purchased me a cup of coffee. So there's that. And hopefully get to a point where YouTube will start paying for more and more of my bills and some of the other things that I would love to get for my YouTube channel. And then if and when I strike it big on YouTube, I really want to get a pickup truck. Um, I want to get a Ram for all of you Ram lovers out there. So leave me a comment if you hate Rams, if you love Rams. I really want to get like a full size pickup, even though it won't fit in my garage. And I'm gonna work my butt off from YouTube to get me that truck. So we'll see. You guys hold me accountable, but that'll be it for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.